We're overwhelmed with the sheer compassion within individuals that we're meeting along the way.
Tonight, Manitoba's premier announced the search for the remains of 2 Indigenous women in Winnipeg's landfill is now on track and underway.
It just really hurts that we have to go through this extent to get our word out there. But now it's out there, and hopefully there's be positive changes.
The people of Red Rock Indian Band in Northern Ontario are fighting back to get their ancestors' remains.
So the elderly population, we're losing elders, so every day we lose an elder, we lose a whole library of language.
And the Montreal Lake Cree Nation has developed their own app to try and save the Woodlands Cree language. Tanse, good evening. I'm Chrisanachkite. Welcome to APTN National News. The Manitoba government made an announcement today about the search of a privately owned landfill outside of Winnipeg. The search is for the remains of 2 women from the Long Plain First Nation. They are 2 of the 4 women killed by a Winnipeg serial killer who was found guilty for 4 counts of first-degree murder this past summer. With more, here's T.R. Wheatley.
It's been 2 years now.
Families and government side by side at the foot of the Prairie Green landfill,
where we believe the remains of Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron are.
With the Harris and Myron families surrounding him, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew announced his government has started phase 3 of 5 of searching this privately owned landfill outside of Winnipeg. Kinew says stage 3 is focused on completing the physical search site.
This pad that we're standing on is built on successive layers of rock and aggregate that has been designed to provide the highest environmental standards and protection for this area, and also to ensure the health and safety of all the people who are going to be working here.
Last week, materials were moved from above the area where they believe the women's remains are. Anne Mamakin is the project lead. She said the hiring of searchers is another component of phase 3 and has been done through a families first approach.
The structure of the search operations was established under the guidance of forensic anthropologist and search director, Dr. Emily Holland. And in partnership with the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, we're recruiting 3 levels of search technicians.
Harris's oldest daughter, Cambria Harris, sharing she's also a part of the recruitment panel.
We're overwhelmed with the sheer compassion within individuals that we're meeting along the way. The compassion that people share as we sit through these interviewing people for the search.
Both her mother and Myron were killed in May 2022 by serial killer Jeremy Skibitsky. In August, he was found guilty of first-degree murder ×4 and sentenced to life in prison for the killings of Rebecca Contois, Harris, Myron, and the yet-to-be-identified person given the name Maskude Bejiekwe, or Buffalo Woman. The trial revealed details about how Harris and Myron's remains ended up at this landfill site. Melissa Robinson is Harris's cousin. She said that her family and the Myrons are not the only families they are doing this for.
When we go in, we're going in for everybody. When you look at the numbers of our MMIWG2S just here alone in our city, I'm almost certain, and I'm sure most of you know as well, that we're certainly going to be finding more than just whom we're going in looking for.
Stage 4 is expected to begin in early December, and that is the actual search of the site. While that is still at least 6 weeks away, Kinew says getting to this point has been no easy feat.
Yes, there's also a hydro transmission line here that was specifically constructed to bring power to this site. There is a new road that was built to provide additional access to this site. You have the ready-to-move home that is going to be the cultural space for the families.
A space where the families can come to pray, grieve, and get some rest in private as the search continues so they can take their loved ones home for a proper burial. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
A man is dead in the O-Chi-Chak-Ko-Sipi First Nation in western Manitoba after a teenager allegedly shot and killed him. On Monday, October 21st at around 1 a.m., St. Rose du Lac RCMP responded to a report of a shooting in the First Nation. When officers arrived, they located a 35-year-old man suffering from a gunshot wound in a residence. The officers assisted 2 residents with life-saving measures until EMS arrived. However, the 35-year-old man succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased on scene. A few hours later, a 14-year-old male youth from the First Nation approached officers at the scene and turned himself in to police. He has been charged with second-degree murder and was remanded in custody. The First Nation is located about 3 hours northwest of Winnipeg. A 15-year-old boy is in custody and is facing a number of charges after a 13-year-old boy was shot in Nisitchawayasik Cree Nation in northern Manitoba. As we reported earlier this week, on Saturday at around 2:25 a.m. in the morning, Nelson House RCMP responded to a report of someone being shot. A 13-year-old with injuries from a gunshot was taken to Winnipeg Hospital with life-threatening injuries. He has since been upgraded to be stable. RCMP says shots were fired at the house and a bullet passed through walls into the victim's bedroom and hit him while in bed. 5 others, including 3 youth, were in the house. Nisitchawayasik Cree Nation Chief and Council have now commented on the incident and say the teen shot in the stomach was a result of gang violence. In a statement, leadership says it's believed one of the key suspects is an individual who was banished from our community by Chief and Council. A resolution for continuously perpetuating gang violence in Nisitchawayasik Cree Nation. Leadership says gang violence is totally unacceptable and will not be tolerated. The statement also sent a message to parents and guardians saying, quote, "You are responsible for your children. At this time of year, they should be out on the land hunting, not running around terrorizing the community and being territorial over certain areas." Winnipeg Police Service is notifying the public that an inmate had accidentally been released from custody this week. On Tuesday, Manitoba Justice contacted the WPS to notify them that 27-year-old Mark Philip Travers was released in error. Police believe he may be in Winnipeg or the surrounding area. Travers is 6'1", 183 pounds with a medium build, short brown hair and brown eyes. Authorities are asking the public to keep an eye out for Travers and to immediately call police or the RCMP if he is spotted. He is not considered to be a threat to public safety. However, he should not be approached. A man in Northern Ontario has been charged with attempted murder in the Webakui First Nation, with the victim sustaining serious injuries. According to the Anishinaabe-Oski Police Service, on Saturday, October 19th, officers received a report about a serious assault in Webakui First Nation. A male and female known to each other were on School Road when they got into a physical altercation with the female, allegedly assaulted by the male. The woman sustained serious injuries from being stabbed and was treated by the community nursing station and was then taken to Thunder Bay for further medical evaluation. The man was later found and taken into custody. 26-year-old Brighton Jermaine Dante Cusies of Webeki First Nation has been charged with attempted murder, possession of a weapon for dangerous purpose, and 4 counts of failure to comply with a release order. He remains in custody and will make a future court appearance. A northern Indigenous community in Ontario is fighting for the return of its ancestors. Human remains determined to be of Indigenous ancestry were recently discovered at a construction site in the town of Nipigon. The Red Rock Indian Band says the remains have been treated with indignity and there have been no accountability for those responsible. APTN's Mike McDonald reports.
Members of the Red Rock Indian Band marched from their community of Lake Helen to the bridge on the Trans-Canada Highway connecting them with the nearby town of Nipigon. They're calling for the return of their ancestors, unearthed this past May during excavation for a planned $37 million visitors center for Parks Canada. Chief Alan Odawa Jr. says carbon dating has determined the remains have been there since the 1400s.
It dated between 1404 to 1456, and that's pre-contact, so it was pretty... Well, we've been here since the beginning of time. and the ancestors protected the land, and now it's our turn to protect our ancestors and for our future generations.
However, the remains are incomplete as the land has been heavily disturbed during the excavation process. Odawa points out that around 150 loads of earth have been removed from the site and distributed to multiple locations nearby. He says the search of the soil is underway.
Probably about 2 weeks of sifting through material, and hopefully our ancestors are found. So there's four ancestors that were uncovered. So we're just searching for them now for the remains, and then once that happens, then we're going to reinsert them and have a 4-day ceremony down at the marina.
Odawa says if someone who is trained to watch for remains had been on the site, their ancestors would be intact, and that the, quote, morbid scavenger hunt that is currently underway could have been avoided.
It just really hurts that we have to go through this extent to get our word out there. But now it's out there, and hopefully there's be positive changes.
Officials with the Anishinaabe Nation, which has thrown its support behind the Red Rock Band, say there is a discrepancy regarding the amount of earth moved from the site and that nearly 60 loads are unaccounted for. Following the protest, Parks Canada released a statement saying it has worked with the Red Rock Indian Band during every step of the process to follow their direction and ensure the remains have been treated with dignity and respect. It goes on to say it is advocating for the return of materials taken from the site and continues to work with landowners and the Ontario government to locate and return all ancestral remains. When reached for comment on the Parks Canada statement, Odawa said, quote, the narrative from Parks Canada being pushed is far from the truth and does a disservice to our organization and our values, and that he continues to demand accountability. Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Nipissing.
Thank you, Mike. The province of Quebec will have to seek approval from the Algonquins of Barrier Lake for a future mining project. We'll bring you that news update and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. A round dance was held in Winnipeg on Tuesday for Jordan River Anderson at the Polo Park Mall. Jordan died in 2005 after the federal and provincial governments fought over who would cover his medical expenses. He was only 5 years old. In 2007, Jordan's principle was established in his name to ensure First Nations families can quickly access services for their children. The program has since helped thousands of people. However, in recent years, issues with the Jordan's principle system have been put before the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. Today, Jordan would have been 25 years old. Jordan's father, Ernest Anderson, traveled from Norway House Cree Nation in northern Manitoba to attend the round dance. He spoke about the impact of Jordan's legacy.
First, I wasn't really aware because I was really in a most emotional, an emotional state of hurting, suffering. Like I asked the questions: why was he born? Why? You know. So, but now, when I look back now, I'm more like refined. Like I have a more better vision to speak for disability children, to speak for even disability people. So I understand what they're going through. Jordan was a...
Quebec will have to seek approval to conduct mining projects with Matip-Kanap-Kiwinip First Nation, also known as the Algonquins of Barrier Lake, following a judicial decision made last week by the Quebec Superior Court. Quebec Superior Court ruled on October 18th that the province failed to seek approval from Matip-Kanap-Kiwinip First Nation on existing and new mining projects in its territory. The First Nation is located approximately 300 kilometers northwest of Montreal. The Quebec government could not comment on if it will appeal the court decision, but said they are assessing the decision. Chief Casey Ratt told APTN News there are more than 2,000 mining projects in their ancestral territory.
What's next is that all those mining claims that we have in our territory will have to be dealt with. So that is a discussion that we will have to talk with our lawyers at EcoJustice to make sure that we are going in we're following the judgment and making sure the claims in our territory, they are following the judgment as well.
On Monday, we told you about Australian Indigenous Senator Lydia Thorp, who heckled King Charles during his royal visit at a parliamentary reception with the Prime Minister. She is now doubling down on her calls against the King, saying the monarchy is complicit in the genocide against Australia's Indigenous people. Last Monday, she was escorted out after shouting at King Charles, saying, "Give us what you stole from us, and you destroyed our land. Give us a treaty." In an interview with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, she said she would continue to press for justice against the British monarchy. Thorp also called for the end of social disadvantages from colonial structures that continue to fail Indigenous Australians. Thorp said since Monday's incident with the King, Indigenous elders and grassroots people are thanking her for speaking up. Resball is a new Netflix movie which takes viewers into the world of Indigenous basketball. Much of the cast is made up of actors getting their first big break, including River Thomas from the Saulteaux First Nation in Saskatchewan. John Flanders sat down with Thomas to learn more about his time in front of the camera.
Netflix film Resball was the first foray into acting for most of the cast, including Saskatchewan's own River Rain Thomas. He's no stranger to the camera, being a fashion model, and he's done bit parts in commercials, but this was his first feature role.
Modeling stuff is what I've done, or just like commercial stuff, but like never any TV or film, so Resball was my first along with the other boys.
In the audition process, just like in sports, everything was earned, nothing was given. Thomas was one of 5,000 who tried out for a role, going one-on-one against other hopefuls in a grueling camp.
That was one of the tougher parts because they wanted us to act and they wanted us to be able to play basketball. We used no stunt doubles in the filming of Resball. It was all us.
Thomas plays Tyson Yazzie, the strong, quiet type who says more with his presence than his voice.
Tyson? Only do cattle.
Everything for me was like mannerisms. So I had to remember, like, that's what I was casted for, is they wanted like a strong, silent type, cowboy type. So I was just like, okay, so every day I had to remind myself, like, most of this won't be verbal.
In the film, the team deals with a tragedy head on, something all the actors have faced growing up. Thomas says the emotions you see on screen are authentic.
We've all experienced that. And that just goes to show like how much we as Indigenous people experience those same things. So when they yelled cut, there were a few times when we just kept crying and we just had to let it out. We had to let it out. And it was a really heavy day, but yeah, none of that was acting in that scene. Those were all real tears from us boys. And I'm glad that we were able to bring that real emotion to something that important on screen.
For the premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival, Thomas knew he wanted to wear something special to showcase Indigenous culture. Collaborating with designer Lauren Goodday, they blended traditional Cree fashion with contemporary designs based on a black and white photo from the early 1900s.
We collaborated on that vision and she blew me away, and that was the end product that you guys got. And I just really wanted to bring that importance of my people with me to the big stage, especially to pay homage to our early ancestors.
Now he's back home with family on Saulteaux First Nation, comfortable but not complacent.
I wake up in the morning, I pray, and I just ask for what's meant for me will come, what isn't. And I've been living my life like that, and I've been learning to let go of things that aren't meant for me. So who knows what comes next?
Fans of River Rain Thomas won't have to wait long before seeing him again on the big screen.
Right on, River. Keep it up. We're in your corner. Next up, we have a Woodlands Cree app set to make its big debut later in the week. Stay with us. welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Phyllis Charlie sent in this incredible photo showing us the beauty of Bear Lake, also known as Fort Connolly, located in north central British Columbia. Incredible area and birds looking chillier there. Thank you for that photo, Phyllis. With fall and Halloween on the horizon, let us know how you are enjoying the season by sending us your pictures to share at aptn.ca. Don't be shy. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, St. John 17, Charlottetown 17. Happy Valley, Goose Bay 4, Nain 5. Saguenay 7, Val-d'Or 7 as well. Peterborough 11, Sault Ste. Marie 14. Wawa 11, Thunder Bay 14. 6 in God's Lake, Puckatawagan 2. Princess Harbor 9, Dauphin 8. 8 in Regina, Saskatoon 9. 5 in La Ronge, Uranium City 2. Fort McMurray 5, Peace River 6. Medicine Hat 10, Edmonton 8. Penticton 11, Campbell River 10. 6 in Prince George, Prince Rupert 9. Watson Lake -2, Mayo -9. Yellowknife -2, Fort Simpson -4. -9 in Colville Lake. Palatuk -1. Chesterfield +1, Baker Lake -4. And Arctic Bay -6, Aglulik -5. And finally for us tonight, Saskatchewan has 3 Cree dialects: Plains, Woodland, and Swampy Cree. Starting Friday, anyone interested in learning Woodlands Cree can download an app to begin their language journey. A public launch of the Cree language app will take place this Friday in Montreal Lake Cree Nation at the Senator Allen Bird Memorial Gym. Language keepers recorded Woodland Cree words in 46 categories, from animals to health, using Indigenous language revitalization software. Both Latin and syllabic alphabets will be available to help users read and write in the language. The app will launch with 1,150 words and will grow to include stories. Project coordinator Charlotte Ross says the app is a tool for language preservation.
We don't have very many fluent speakers that are like under the age of 50 years old, and that's a general I guess, finding in a lot of communities. Some communities have very few speakers that are under the age of 60 and under the age of 70 years old. And so the elderly population, we're losing elders. So every day we lose an elder, we lose a whole library of language.
Ross notes the app is a useful tool for today's generation, but practicing the language every day is still essential for language revitalization. And that's your evening newscast for this Wednesday, October 23rd. We'll be back again with more news updates for your midday newscast tomorrow. Make sure to join us then. From everyone at APTN National News, Masi Cho, Miigwech, hi hi. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Next day.